So for me, when I think about setting those New Year's goals, I used to just set these outrageous goals that didn't really have any kind of like landmarks throughout the year. It was just like, I want to hit X, Y, and Z. And I think a lot of people set goals in general without really evaluating if it's the right goal that you should be setting. And they tend to set them in like one or two categories instead of really being strategic about their goal setting. And so today, I thought I would talk to you about the goals that I'm setting for 2022 and how I'm not just setting those goals, but using milestones along the way to make sure that I achieve them. And so my health goal for 2022 is really to focus more on loving myself more, which is totally a health goal. Your mental health is really important. I think if the last couple years have taught us anything, it's taught us how important your mental health can truly be and how easily affected that can be by so many things outside of our control. And so I'm really focused on, I have pretty good mental health, but I think it can always get better. So loving me more, really focused on my mental health. And then also my physical health. And I'm doing that not through a weight loss goal, which is something that I've previously set in other years and quite frankly tend to disappoint myself with when I don't reach it, but more a daily goal to focus on a healthier version of myself. But more than just saying, hey, I'm not going to drink all of January, or I'm not going to eat carbs, I'm going to go on some specific diet. Instead, my goal health-wise for 2022 is to make smarter choices, to really question each choice that I'm making with my health, and not to eliminate things from my life, but more to acknowledge the choice that I'm making in that moment. So if I am choosing to have a cocktail or a dessert or maybe a less healthy food item, then just evaluating the rest of the day. How did I do the rest of that day? Is this the choice I want to make? And am I willing to exchange this like small moments of gratification for how it may or may not affect my health? And I want you to think of your financial goals this way too. Are you willing to exchange what you're paying for something, right, for how it may or may not affect your financial future? And so for me personally, this year, I am really trying to just be more aware, more conscious of the decisions that I'm making and how they affect my future. That's hopefully going to mean eating smaller portions, just being more conscious about how much food I'm consuming. I have been guilty of, especially over the holidays, just finding the most delicious foods and eating the entire plate, whether I was hungry or not. Recognizing that even if I'm still hungry, if I have eaten a substantial amount of food or enough food, right, that I can still be hungry and not need to finish my plate, that's okay. I'm also setting goals financially. And one of those things that I'm starting is going to be a fun bucket. For the most part, anytime I want something, I just go ahead and, I'm pretty good at evaluating whether or not I should have it. If I really want it, I probably buy it. I've talked about this here before. One of the ways that I love to pay for things is to say, okay, well, I want this thing that costs X amount of dollars. How do I go make an extra X amount of dollars? Like, how do I go make that money to cover that thing instead of pulling money from our existing funds? But in 2022, I think I'm gonna create a bucket of fun, things that I do that are extra outside my normal income activities, doing intentional extra things, picking up little things here and there to create a bucket of money that is just for fun, for trips, for buying myself something nice, it's play money. It's whatever I want to do with it because it doesn't come out of my normal income. So that's something that I'm doing for myself. I am also setting a goal where I can be really, really intentional about my content. I have not been great in 2021. I think I started out pretty good and I fell off a bandwagon. I had some really good intentions for 2021 about content, but I wasn't specific with those goals. And that's what's really important, is that when you do create these goals, you have specific numbers attached to them. For my financial goal, I have a specific weekly number, a monthly number, an overall annual number, how I want that to look, what I'm going to be doing to achieve that. I've already created myself a list of things that I can do to achieve those goals, right? This is going to be the same thing with content. If you're setting a goal and you don't outline how you can achieve that, it becomes very unachievable. And so in 2022, I'm going to be really intentional with my content, and that's going to start with me holding myself accountable for producing one YouTube video per week at a minimum. Now, the great thing about this is I can take that one YouTube video that I create and I can repurpose that content. I can turn that into Reels. I can turn that into TikToks, YouTube Shorts, put it up on a website. I can do all sorts of things. And what I love about YouTube is it is still a search engine. I can link a lot of affiliate things in there, which is definitely going to fulfill the financial bucket goal, right? Being able to have affiliate links. Those are outside my normal income. They don't take additional time. I love a good passive income strategy, right? I'm not having to go work for that money. I do that YouTube video once and it can live on. It can create passive income over time. And sometimes your channel might not start off very good, but if you're consistent and you post every single week consistently and you provide value, some of those older videos can get really good play down the road. And so there's a lot of longevity to that strategy as well. I love that because it feeds into my financial goal. It's not just my content goal, but it feeds into my financial goal. So I'm really excited about that. But I will be producing one video at a minimum per week. I'm okay to do more, but we'll see how it goes. That's going to be how I'm going to hold myself accountable. And for now, I will be recording it, hashtagging it, all that kind of stuff, and sending it off to my editor for editing. But eventually my goal, partway through the year is to bring on someone who can handle the hashtag research and description and some of that kind of stuff. Maybe even the content research. I find sometimes creating really quality content, like quality topics, and that are well hashtagged, that have great descriptions, that are going to rank, can be time consuming. Not necessarily challenging, but time consuming to do that research. And it's definitely not my favorite thing. So additionally in 2022, I'm looking to offload the things in my life that can be income producing, but are not something that I need to do with my time. I want to make sure that I'm bringing in that VA, that virtual assistant, whatever, in a role that is income producing, that the value's there, but is in a place where I don't feel like I need to personally be the one doing that work, where I can extend my time by having someone else do it and then still have me provide the actual value, right? I would still record the videos. So those are a lot of my goals for 2022. And I would love to see below from you guys, what are your goals for 2022? Or how has watching this little video today helped you think about your goals? Maybe you already had some goals, but you weren't really specific about how you're going to achieve them. And I would write it down. One of the best things you can do is not just put a goal out there in your mind and say, hey, I'm going to lose 30 pounds this year. Or, and in fact, I would not set that as a goal at all. Or I'm going to make $1 million this year. A lot of those goals can be really hard to achieve. And they can also be kind of depressing in a sense if you don't reach that milestone. As you start to approach it, we feel like it's so far out of reach because let's say you get 3/4 of the way through the year and you've only made $100,000. Your goal was $1 million. You're going to feel like there's no way, if you've only made $100,000 in the first 3/4 of the year, how could you possibly make $1 million by the end of the year? Then you're just going to give up. This is what a lot of people do. They run really hard for a little while. They don't see the results and they give up. In fact, there's a TikTok audio that's been really popular lately. It is a motivational speech. And the person says, like, you have to keep showing up. Even if the results don't come, keep showing up. Even if you don't see any results for weeks or months, keep showing up, right? What if you're tired? Keep showing up. What if you don't feel like it? Keep showing up. And so we have to do that in our lives. And what we're doing is we set these goals. If you set this goal and it's just, hey, I'm going to make $1 million by the end of 2022, it's hard to keep showing up when you're not seeing those results. But instead, right, if my goal is to do something, right, just something that brings in additional income every single week outside of my normal income activities, ideally that can set me up for future passive income. Passive income is hard to do like from the get-go, but you can set up things that will create passive income in the future. So if that's my goal, that's really achievable, right? And I can keep, as long as I keep showing up for that, I'm going to see results eventually. Same thing for getting that body, getting into shape, getting the way that you want to look. If my goal is simply that I'm going to eat half the portion size of all the food I normally eat, and I am going to exercise 5 times a week, whatever that exercise looks like, however it happens, 5 times a week, I can keep showing up for that because the result is I did it. I'm not tied to how many pounds am I going to weigh on the scale or how many pounds am I going to lose or how many calories am I going to eat today. Instead, I can totally show up for eating half the meal on my plate and saving the other half for another time. I can totally show up for exercising 5 days a week. And it's easy to feel like I've accomplished that goal as long as I did my exercise in 5 days. Some days that might be yoga. Some days that might be, 5-mile walk. Some days that might be going to, F45 and going all out. It doesn't matter. As long as I show up for those 5 days of exercise, I get to feel like I accomplished that goal. And the truth is, if I consistently accomplish that goal every single week, right? If I achieve that, if I keep showing up for that, I'm going to see results in those areas that I want to see results. The same is true for my content. The same is true for financial. If I keep showing up with my content every single week, if I'm consistent about that, I can check that off. I achieved that. And I am somebody that really likes to achieve. So for me, if I can have that check mark, if I can feel like, you know what, even though I was tired this week, even though I wasn't feeling creative this week, even though I felt like maybe I didn't look my best this week when I recorded my video, right? Whatever it was, I did it. I showed up, I recorded that content, I gave it my all, right? Please give it your all during that time, show up. And if I do that consistently, I will see results. So with that, I will leave you hopefully planning some incredible 2022 goals. I would love to know what they are below. I would love to hear your goals. I would love to hear how you're going to achieve them. I think that's really important to map out. But as always, feel free to drop your comments below. And has this video changed how you may be setting goals moving forward? Have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you all next Monday.